Hi, I'm Alina. I'm a postdoc at the Department of Entomology, University of Maryland. This is my staged lecture. It's a short version of the guest lecture which we had in our Freshwater Biology class early this semester. Okay, good morning class. Today we will be talking about invasive species in freshwater ecosystems. And this is going to be an introduction to this topic. Even though it's a short lecture, still by the end of this lecture, I promise that you will know what invasive species are, how they can be introduced. You will be able to differentiate between invasive and non-invasive species, and also you will be able to name at least 2 freshwater invasive species. We will do several things in our class. First, please make sure everyone has this worksheet. We will start with this. Also make sure you have your yes/no cards. For those who are not familiar with this, you can simply fold it and use it whenever it's needed to answer the question. And also we will have a few discussions on the topic. So first, before we formally define invasive species, I would like you to start with the first part in your worksheet. And first thing what I would like you to do is to take a look at this term, invasive species, and list all the associations which come into your mind. You have about 30 seconds to do that. Ready? We assume 30 seconds have passed. Okay, great. So now please pick 3 associations which you think other people in your class also might have in their lists. And then you can compare them in your pairs. We assume 1 minute has passed. Okay, so here's one of the formal definitions of invasive species. And as you can see, I highlighted a few terms, and I thought you might have those on your list. So what I would like you to do to take a look at these definitions, and let's see. So we see that invasive species are non-native and they somehow introduced in native community. Who has that something? Yeah, perfect. Next, we see that species can cause some kind of problems. Do you have something like this? Wonderful. Now let's move on to the definition of aquatic invasive species. And you can see similar terms here too. So we see they're non-native species, plants or animals. They also introduced, but specifically into lakes or rivers, and they have a lot of problems, and especially for freshwater ecosystems. Here are some examples of freshwater invasive species. And you can see there might be invasive plants, animals, vertebrates, and invertebrates. So let's get familiar with some of these species. In your worksheet, part 2 here, everyone has a different invasive species. So what I would like you to do is to take a look at the brief description of this species. And as you read, please think about just one question. Why you think this invasive species is invasive? After that, you can check all the characteristics which you think may apply to the answer. We assume 30 seconds are over. And let's see, who checked all of these characteristics? Okay, wonderful. Yeah, that's indeed all the characteristics which can be applied to invasive species. So now you might wonder, what do we call non-native species? How do we know they are non-native? And there is actually an informal time point, which is European settlement. After European settlement, all species which have been found on US territories are considered to be invasive. Here's some examples of first European settlements. And you can see the settlement in Florida is one of the earliest and actually one of the largest settlements. And it has a lot of non-native species. Now, how can non-native species be introduced in freshwater ecosystems? As you can see here, there are many ways how they can be introduced. But we can divide them on intentional introduction, which can be through aquaculture, disposal, or water gardening. It can be unintentional introduction, which can be through fishing, boating, and transport. Regardless of the mode of introduction, the introduced species will get to the native community. And here's the question, what will happen to them then? And this is our final part of our worksheet. What I would like you to do is take a look at this slide and just describe what you see without any thinking or interpretation or anything. So just tell me, what do you see here? At this point, I expect students to mention that they see pictures of fish, any other words, and also the lines which connect different terms. Okay, great. Now we can interpret that a little bit. So everything which you just described, what do you think that means? And at this point, usually I provide students with a couple of questions, and I expect them to answer these questions and also share some other thoughts which they might have. Okay, wonderful. And last thing, after all our discussion about this slide, what kind of title would you provide for this slide? And this is your final part in your worksheet. Okay? Usually students mention that this scheme can be named as invasion process, or species introduction, or non-native species in the native community. Okay, thank you. And this is actually the invasion stages. So all of your answers were absolutely very close. So as we can see here, any introduced species, in order to become invasive, should go through several stages: transport, establishment, spread, and then impact in native communities. We are almost done, so let's review whether we reached our learning outcomes and answer a couple of questions here. So at this point, I expect students to answer the couple of questions about invasive species, and also named these two freshwater invasive species, which they actually had in their worksheets. And also, I'm always curious about one thing which students didn't know before our lectures, but they know now. Thank you.